What if the history you were taught was carefully curated to protect a specific worldview? For decades, a narrative has been maintained to distance modern science from the darkest chapters of the 20th century. However, when you look at the primary sources, a different story emerges. These are quotations that Denton cites in his report, The Greatest Cover-Up in American History. Today, we're looking at 10 quotes that expose this long-hidden reality. Quote 1. The smoking gun. We begin with bioethicist Arthur Caplan, who provided the smoking gun for this investigation. He admitted, "Science permeates the Holocaust." Caplan noted that medicine and science played such a prominent role in these atrocities that it is simply too difficult for those who admire these fields to accept the truth. Quote 2. Applied biology. The Nazis didn't see themselves as villains in a movie. They saw themselves as pioneers of a new era. Historian Robert Proctor points out, the Nazis saw their movement as applied biology. Their racial programs weren't just political. They were viewed as public health initiatives, involving doctors and state policy on an unprecedented scale. Quote 3. The Darwinian Foundation. Many claim that Darwin himself would have been horrified by the Holocaust, but his own words suggest a chilling foundation. In The Descent of Man, Darwin wrote, "We civilized men build asylums for the imbecile, the maimed, and the sick. This must be highly injurious to the race of man." He compared human survival to the breeding of domestic animals, noting that the survival of the weak was injurious to the human race. Quote 4. The will to power. William Jennings Bryan saw exactly where this logic was heading long before the Holocaust began. He warned, Nietzsche carried Darwinism to its logical conclusion. He rejected all moral standards, and in that animal the highest virtue he recognized was the will to power. Bryan argued that German militarism was the natural result of replacing the worship of God with a materialistic will to power. Quote 5. The intentional struggle. How did this connection get buried? Christian Smith explains that the secularization of America wasn't a natural accident. History is written by the victors. We are not accustomed to thinking about the secularization of American public life as the successful outcome of an intentional political struggle. It was a deliberate effort by an elite knowledge class to overthrow the traditional Protestant establishment. Quote 6. The rhetorical firewall. To protect science after the war, a firewall had to be built. Thomas C. Leonard explains how the term social Darwinism was used to deflect blame. Social Darwinism gained meaningful currency only with the book that declared the concept long dead. By labeling Nazi atrocities as social Darwinism, historian Richard Hofstadter created a false division to protect safe science from the stain of mass murder. Quote 7. Academic silence. This wasn't just about rebranding, it was about silence. Arthur Caplan again admits, there is also an aversion to taking a long, hard look at what health professionals and scientists did during the years before and throughout the Holocaust. This aversion resulted in a decades-long academic silence that kept the public in the dark. Quote 8. Resolute forgetfulness. Geneticist Benno Müller-Hill describes this silence in even more haunting terms. The blood of human beings spilt millions of times over is resolutely forgotten. Many geneticists, anthropologists, and psychiatrists have slipped into the deep sleep of forgetfulness. The scientific community chose a collective amnesia to protect its institutional power. Quote 9. Bryan's validation. While the media portrayed William Jennings Bryan as a buffoon at the Scopes trial, modern scholars have had to admit he was right. Famous evolutionist Stephen Jay Gould wrote, "I found them. Bryan's source material's every bit as riveting as Bryan, and I came to understand his fears, even to agree in part." Even those who disagreed with Bryan's faith had to respect the evidence he presented. Quote 10. The gigantic conspiracy. We conclude with Bryan's final warning, issued just before his death. He spoke of a gigantic conspiracy among atheists and agnostics against the Christian religion. This conspiracy worked for decades to hide the role of science in the Holocaust, altering the course of Western civilization. The truth was hidden to protect a worldview, but the evidence is still there for those willing to look. It's time to look behind the firewall. Visit greatestcoverup.info to see the rest of the story.